Hi, this is Jason Van Maanen with the Veritas Agronomy team. Last week or so, with corn starting to ripen, been getting some calls from people asking about corn maturity, what to look for, and how to do some yield count. So today, we're out at a cornfield and going to talk a little bit about milk line, corn maturity, and then show you how to do a rough yield estimate with your corn. So first off, out in the field, just finding a cob of corn, we'll talk about maturity. So by breaking the corn, we want to look at the milk layer. Obviously, as you can see, the corn is denting, so this is the dent stage. And what will happen is, as the corn matures, you will see this white line. This is your starch line. And as the corn starts to dry, this line moves down the kernel to the cob. So as you can see, you look at that line and determine where it is. So this would be about half. So this cob here would be about half or better as far as milk line, or 50% milk line or better. Important part about 50% milk line, this is the stage of the corn where 90 to 95% of your yield is there. As this milk line moves down, you will start to get black layer. That should happen depending on temperature, moisture, maturity. Should happen anywhere between 10 to 15 days from 50% milk line. So as you can see, this corn, we should be reaching physical maturity within the next week, week and a half. Then when we talk about black layer, although this won't have black layer is the point where the corn reaches physical maturity, meaning all the moisture has come out of the kernel into the cob. At that point, your yield is made. You will not lose any dry matter once you've reached black layer. To determine black layer, you would break the kernel about here, and what you would look for is a black line right in the kernel at about that point, and that will tell you if your corn is physically mature. At that point, frost or other environmental damage is not going to hurt your corn. So the next question we get quite a bit is, how do I do a cob count as far as kernel counts for yield? So today I just want to show you how to do a quick yield assessment using, all you're going to need is a calculator, a clipboard to write on, and a tape measure. So first off, what you need to do is walk to a representative area of the field, and we need to measure 1/1000th of an acre of row. So depending on your row widths, for 38-inch rows, you'd measure 13 feet 9 inches of row. 30-inch rows, 17 feet 5 inches. If you're on 24s, 21 foot 9. If you're on 20s, that'd be 26.2. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure out that 1/1000th of an acre, and then we're going to count the plants in that to give us an idea of where we are for field population. Okay, so here we've measured off 17 foot 5 inches. And we measure off the plants. So here we've got 26 plants. As 1/1000th of an acre, that would give us 26,000 population. So what we would do is we would do that for a few different areas in the field and take the average. That'll give us our average population. So what we're going to do now, we're going to do a kernel count on plants down the row and take an average. I usually count about every 4th or 5th plant, and I'll just show you how we do that. So I'll take every 4th one, 1, 2, 3, 4. So as an example of doing a kernel count, so I've taken a cob, and I'll just show you what we do. So we tend to leave out the bottom inch or so and the top inch or so. We count the number of rows. So we've got 16 rows. We're going to count the kernels, say starting about here. I'm going to end about here. So that's 32. So what we have on this plant, we have 32 kernels per row times 16 rows. That's giving us 515 kernels per plant. So what we would do is we would then count some more cobs in the area and get an average number of kernels per cob. Remember to count either both good and bad cobs. You want to make sure you get a good representation. So what we do once we have our average kernels per cob, we then want to times that by our population. So if our average population ends up being 30,000, we take that 512 times 30,000. That gives us our total amount of kernels per acre. Now, normally we make an assumption. We need to determine kernels per bushel. So corn with very big, high test weight kernels, you may want to go 80, 85. Smaller corn, poor test weight conditions, you may want to go 100,000 kernels per bushel. Usually we use 90. So we're going to take that number we got, which is our kernels per plant times our population, divide that by 90,000. That gives us a number of 170.6. So based on what we found in this spot, if we take an average kernel count, an average population count at, as we said, 512 kernels per cob, 30,000 plants per acre, we would expect, give or take to a degree of error, approximately 170 bushels. We would then do this in 2 or 3 more areas of the field, try to give ourselves a good representation across the field, and as I said, this is a quick way to give yourself an idea on yield estimates. So in summary, to do a yield estimate, you want to determine your population per acre, determine your kernels per cob, times the two together, and divide by 90,000. And this should give you a good idea of where you are for yield in a cornfield. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact your Veritas Agronomy team at the Chatham office. And for now, have a good harvest.